Hey guys, Taylem here of Games and Nonsense, and I'm going to talk about World of Warcraft. Now, I'm pretty sure every one of you listening knows what World of Warcraft is, so I'm not going to bother going into detail about what the game is, other than the fact it is the most popular MMO in the world. But the topic I'm going to cover today is about somebody called Nostalrius and the private vanilla server that they had created for probably a fair amount of people. I'm seeing numbers as high as 10,000 to 1 million registered users. Now, the registered users amount really doesn't matter because those numbers are inflated by, multiple accounts or people just check it out one time. But they consistently had about 10,000 people playing the game, which is about as much as one of the low population servers in World of Warcraft, maybe even the moderately populated ones. So I can understand Blizzard's apprehension of allowing such a server to exist. But what I want to talk about, I'm going to try to take a balanced viewpoint on this because I am definitely torn. I have been a fan of the Trinity Core engine for a long time. I have used it, I have tampered with it, I have explored the code, made my own private server at home for my special needs son to use, and because he liked to fly around and explore the world, but unfortunately I couldn't afford 2 accounts, so that was my only option for him to be able to do something. But that doesn't excuse the fact that it was effectively taking away from Blizzard in a very, very small way. So that is why when I was able to afford it, I got him his own account. But it was still fun. I was able to see parts of the game I had not yet, or see some of the items that were no longer available in game. So for me, it was just kind of a nostalgia trip. But what Nostalrius did is they built this server up in vanilla to fulfill a need. Now, a lot of people are upset about this, and rightly so, because what they did is they were effectively Robin Hood for a large group of people. People that were probably looking at vanilla through rose colored glasses, but I don't think it was vanilla specifically that they were longing for. They were longing for a World of Warcraft game that was still an RPG, that the crafting was challenging, that there was monsters out in the world that were dangerous that you had to be careful around, and if you were going to tackle them by yourself, you had to know exactly what you were doing and be prepared for it. The raids, there were a lot more of them, and there wasn't just doing the same 1 or 2 raids over and over again through multiple tiers of difficulty, but we'll get to that in just a little bit. So, from a legal standpoint, Blizzard is absolutely within their right to force the close of this server, as well as even sue him. Now, I am against them suing him. I think closing the server and sending a strong message is enough. But what I think they're going to do, and now I'm not a legal expert and I'm not a Blizzard employee who has knowledge of this, so this is only speculation, but I believe what they're going to do is they will go ahead with a lawsuit. They will scare the bejesus out of anybody that thinks about doing this kind of thing again on this scale, and they will probably come out with some kind of deal for him, like, hey, just an apology, and we'll drop the charges. Buy a sub, we'll drop the charges. That is probably what is going to happen. That has happened in the past with big movie and music companies that have gone after the smaller people, not the big pirates, but the people distributing a handful of songs. Like, hey, we'll drop this multi-million-dollar lawsuit against you, but you got to buy 50 movies over 3 years, or you got to buy 1 or 2 movies from us a month for 5 years, something to that effect. Which is probably what they're going to do, and that is to make their point that if somebody does this again, we're going to come down hard on you. And it is within their legal right. So I can't debate that fact. But I think what Blizzard really needs to take a look at is why this happened. And anybody out there that played on this server that's really upset, you do have a right to be upset. But you need to go about it in a constructive way. What you need to do is you need to tell Blizzard why you played this server and not the live server. But you need to do it in a mature and clear way. Not just saying, oh, because you suck and you ruined my blah, 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 blah for casuals, noobs. And Avoid all that crap. Reach deep down inside you, take whatever intelligence and ability you have to write, and write them a heartfelt, clear letter of why you played Nostalrius' server over live server, and tell them what you would need for them to get you, for them to win you back as a customer. That's the constructive way to do it, instead of stomping your feet and pissing and moaning and saying, hey, I'll never pay for a Blizzard game again. Now, as far as Blizzard opening a legacy server, guys, that's just not going to happen, and I'll tell you why. Because of the cost involved. They say, oh, we're going to just load up a server with an old thing, but no, but then they got to support it with customer support. They got to deal with old bugs again. They have to give it some kind of maintenance and focus. And it's just not going to happen, guys. It's not going to happen probably until World of Warcraft stops making expansions. And in order to keep people just playing the game, they'll have legacy progression servers, much like EverQuest has done. So you can bet pretty much that is what is going to happen. Now, let's kind of jump off the topic of the Nostalrius server, because I think I pretty much said my view on it, other than, I understand. I understand both sides, and I hope this comes to a resolution that's Blizzard gets what they want without any of these guys who were just trying to give people what they wanted, without them having their lives ruined by this, because I don't think they deserve it. I don't think they deserve it at all. And Blizzard, if you're listening, which you're probably not, but if you are, please show these guys mercy. Make your point. Come to a good resolution, but please show these guys mercy. They don't deserve to be financially ruined by this. Not even in the slightest. So please don't do it. Just come to some kind of other agreement. Now, what do I personally feel? I want to stress that this is my point of view. What can Blizzard do to win back all these players and improve their game? Well, let's talk about the randomness. Now, if people who are familiar with mystery boxes and all this is that people love to be surprised. People like random, unexpected things to happen in life and in a game. Most people, that is, unless some people are just completely phobic about that, and which some are. But people generally like that. Now, I remember back in the old Dark Age of Camelot game, with their first expansion, Shrouded Isles, they released a mechanic where items would drop with randomly generated stats. Now, sometimes you would get an absolute crap item, but sometimes, just every once in a while, you would get such a fantastic item that you just had to share it with all your friends. It was just absolutely amazing, and people loved it. People really bought into it, and it was one of the fantastic part of the game. I think they should integrate something like that in the game, not just of the tiger, of the bear, because all those the bear still going to have the same stats. I'm talking about completely random generated stats on world drops. All of them, all the ones that have stats, from the greens, the blues, and the purples, have that be an element of surprise for people. Make these world drops great. And on the aspect of that, make epics, purples, better than heirlooms. Heirlooms should be at blue item level. The purpose of heirlooms isn't to face roll everything. It should be just to get the XP bonuses on the gear. Please make purple epics better. If you want the XP bonuses of the heirlooms, you're going to have to sacrifice the superior nature of the epic items. It's very important, because heirlooms did ruin the leveling experience. They offset that. They off-balance PvP. Yeah, a lot of people have heirlooms now, but not everybody. It's just better. Make them the same quality level as the blue rare items. Make the purple epics, again, top tier. That would make those purple world drops that we get to be fantastic. I remember we'd see, God, I'm trying to remember, like Serenity, when that blade would drop. It was like, I used that blade from 52 to 60 until I got the Destroyer of Worlds out of ZG back in Classic. And I kept it in my bank forever, just because it held so much memory for me. So please consider that. Consider making heirlooms only rare level and making those epic drops again to be number one. Make it just make it worth it for people to get those, to be excited about out in the world again. So I mean, I think that's very important to focus on those drops. Now, as far as the knowing Legion that you are having the zone and quest scaling, that would be amazing to integrate into the old world. I know it'll be work, but you guys can do it. You have the money. Don't say you don't, because you do. Make this a priority. It would be awesome to be able to go into Elwyn Forest at level 58 and fight a level 58 boar in Elwyn Forest. I mean, come on. That would be that would be just awesome. And I think a lot of people would enjoy that. It would make the zones less dull. And you probably feel, well, how's it going to work when, say, multiple people of different levels are in the group? Well, that's easy. Have the zone scale to the level of the group leader. Simple as that. And the zone, the level of the mob can't change in combat. If you're in combat with the mob, you can't switch leader to a lower level and have the mob drop, etc., or go up. It's a mechanic that you guys are smart enough to do. Just have the zone set to the group leader and have it locked while that leader and target mob are in combat to prevent any kind of abuse. I think it's something doable, and I think you guys can really, really do it. Now, as far as itemization goes, a couple things here. I think our gear, the majority of it from blues and up, should come from world drops, crafting, and instances. Every once in a while, it's a quest reward. You can have a good item. But I think quests should predominantly be about building reputation, exploration of the world, and your leveling experience. As far as the actual gear, I think it would just be far better to have that come from world drops, from crafting. Get the crafting professions going again. Get that commerce going. I think it would just be amazing to have that experience. We're able to people who love the craft to get out there and make a living on selling their swords, their axes, their armor, their inscriptions, their trinkets, all that good stuff. I think, and again, add some trinkets and shoulders and stuff for the lower level stuff too, so people can get crafting those, so people can have that. Because people like to get new things for their characters. Because as it stands right now, when you level alt, they're all the same, other than the mechanic of the class itself. The experience is the same. Everybody's wearing the same heirlooms, or they're getting the same quest rewards. It is just the same. And Blizzard, you are one of the few companies that has the ability to change this, to really make it progressive, to make it a new experience every time somebody plays. And another thing about questing is the biggest mistake I think you did is when you did Cataclysm and you ripped up the old world and basically you made each zone a theme for Cataclysm. So now when people replay it again, it doesn't make any sense that it's still there. I mean, how long is Sentinel Hill going to burn? What you should have done is you should have had a root set of quests scattered all throughout, not leading people on rails. Just explore, find an NPC who has a quest, and let him do that. Then what you should have done is had story element quests in these zones that were tied to the expansion. When the expansion's over, those story quests end or get upgraded to progress into the next expansion. Therefore, you're having your expansion story through these zones, but you're not having these zones stuck in the past for years and years and years. And it's really not a good way to go, because the longevity of that content is very short-lived. And you basically shoot yourself in the foot when you do that. And people are like, I have to go see, Sentinel Hill burn for the 9 millionth time. And it's just not any fun. And I think it is one of the gripes people have about that. Another thing is the cross-realm servers. Is with the way World of Warcraft is, everybody knows you. There's no reason to artificially make these lower level zones look like they are filled with people. This has caused more problems than it has helped. Other than world PvP, this does not help anybody. Unless your realms are linked, You can't trade with these people. You can't guild with these people. Becoming friends with these people there's no point to it anymore. You have killed the community and the ability to meet new people. Most of the people that I met in Classic were people I met out in the world. People that we all of a sudden got in a quest together, and we just had enough gaming in common that, hey, I want to continue the game with this person. But you can't do that now anymore. Instead, the only way you find anybody is you got to go through the guild list, try to find one that sounds okay, and then try it out. So it's no wonder why people guild hop so much, because they don't have that ability to get out to the world and really find the people that they have things in common with. And I think you really need to address that as well. You need to build that sense of community back. Now, real quick, back on the topic of experience, please remove experience from gathering skills. It's ridiculous. There's no reason. Yeah, I know you're trying to rush people along, but it's silly. Remove the experience from gathering skills. People get plenty of experience from quests and from killing monsters that they don't need it from taking a pick to a thing of ore or pulling up a weed. They just don't. And it's something that shouldn't be there at all. Crafting can maintain its experience growth, because some people they just like to craft, and if they're able to level via crafting, so be it. That would be fine with me. I don't really have a problem with it. Now, one of the other biggest things in this game is the way you have done raids. It started with Wrath of the Lich King, which is, I'll tell people right now, is my favorite expansion. Just let me get that out there right now. But when you introduce this thing as rage timers and whatnot, that did create sort of an elitist viewpoint where a lot of guilds only wanted to take the people with the best top tier DPS. And that started to create that exclusion culture in World of Warcraft. And your solution for that was to create the LFR, which in itself helped destroy the community on each server. Now, you can't get rid of LFR now, because the only way you can get rid of LFR is if you remove story elements from the raids. Because people who play this game, if they don't raid, still deserve to be able to see the story and see it progress and see it happen. In Lich King, unless you were able to kill the Lich King, you didn't know what the hell happened to him. You had to go on YouTube to find the video, or you had to wait until you put an object and dollar in that somebody can click on and see the cinematic of what happened. But the experience of that is not there. If you decide to ever get rid of LFR, you're going to have to get rid of the story elements tied to raids. That's just the way it has to be. But since you're not going to get rid of LFR, that's kind of an unimportant a moot topic to talk about. But what you should do for LFR is have LFR gear worse or only equal to heroic instance gear. Period. Don't make LFR the required step to do normal raids. There are people that hate doing LFR. I honestly can't do an LFR without wanting to fall asleep. It is that bad. It is boring. It is terrible. Make LFR only for people that can't do normal raids, who just want to see the story, who want to at least say, hey, I want to do this level of content. Make heroic instances, make that gear equal to the LFR gear. Same item level. And get your item levels under control, by the way. Don't make LFR the step into normal. Okay? It's the same with these legendary quests where it's all tied to do LFR 9 million times. Quite possibly one of the worst ideas you guys have ever had. You did it in Mists of Pandaria, and you did it again in Warlords, and it just needs to plain stop. You want a legendary, make an intricate, epic story that takes you through every instance in the game, not raid, but instances. Have several scenarios, single player scenarios. Get people immersed in the story. That is fun. That is something alts can do. Okay, people that have, 11 alts, 12 alts with the Demon Hunters coming soon. Nobody wants to do that 12 times, especially how it's been in Mist of Pandaria and Warlords. And you shouldn't make them do that. What you need to do is, if it's an intricate and very detailed story, people will then do that, as long as they don't have to grind the same thing over and over and over and over again to get a stupid little stone that you combine into other stones. Come on, you're smarter than that, Blizzard. Please, I am begging you to not go that route. It is a terrible, terrible idea that most people do not like. It was one of the big factors of why Warlords failed, is the repetition. The grind of the garrisons, the grind of the legendary, everything was built around grinding, and it was atrocious and absolutely terrible. At least in Mists of Pandaria, which had so much more content. Even if you didn't like the pandas themselves, Mists of Pandaria for me was my second favorite expansion of all time, behind the Lich King and just above the Burning Crusade. Because the Burning Crusade, lore-wise, stunk. It was inconsistent, guys. Let's just be honest with you here. But as far as Mists of Pandaria, at least you could grind out the bonuses to reputation for your alts. The legendary was terrible. But the questing was still fun. And the landscape was beautiful. Flying was there. It was just worth it. Warlord suffered in so many different categories. But for raids, real quick, I'm going to wrap up with this raid, is that you need more raids and less repetition. What you need, I know raids are expensive to develop, but again, at your Blizzard, you can afford it. And if people may stick around, you're going to have the money to do so. People don't want 2 or 3 raids, 3 or 4 difficulties each for 2 years, grinding them over and over and over. It's garbage. Nobody wants that. You need to go back to the old vanilla style, which is why people play these vanilla servers, by the way. Not the 40-man size, I like the size scaling based on the number of people you have for difficulty. But remove the multi-tier difficulty. Have one difficulty. Bam, people get through this raid. They go into the next raid. Bam, they get through that raid. They go into the next raid. Realistically, there should be 4 or 5 or 6 raids per expansion. And on the last raid, that gear, what that gear should do, by the way, stop increasing heirlooms. As far as the heirlooms now have level 100, bam, be the end of heirlooms. No more level scaling for heirlooms. Boom, let them die. Because let that top tier raid gear give XP bonuses for the next expansion. Let that top tier raid gear be 25% eye level higher than the starting gear, blue gear, for the next expansion. So these people that have worked so hard, got to the top tier expansion, has their best gear, will be able to use that gear until midway through the next expansion. Okay, that'll make it worth it. That'll make their efforts worth it. Please, make that gear more important than just, hey, I got a blue version of your lower tiered red version. I mean, it's silly. You can do it, Blizzard. You're smart. You have the means. So that's pretty much my rant on the topic, guys. And I really hope some of you agree with this. Some of you might not. But this is just my take on the Nostalrius situation and the current state of World of Warcraft. A game that I do love. It's one of only 3 or 4 MMOs I can honestly say I have fond memories for. The other ones being EverQuest 1 and 2, Dark Age of Camelot, and Lord of the Rings Online. So, alright guys, that's it. This is Taylem, and I will see you guys later.